medicines for hostages in Gaza and humanitarian aid for civilians has entered the war-torn Palestinian territory under a deal mediated by Doha and Paris. This comes after Hamas announced new conditions for delivering medicines to the hostages that still remain in Gaza. Under the deal mediated by France and Qatar, medicines along with humanitarian aid has been supplied to Gazans in exchange for providing medicines to about 45 hostages. Hamas's senior leader said on Wednesday, "For every box of medicine for hostages, 1,000 boxes must be given to the residents of Gaza." He further added that medicines must be supplied through a country that Hamas trusts and not France. During a week-long truce in November, Hamas released more than 100 hostages in exchange for around 240 Palestinian prisoners. Back at home, Israelis are increasing pressure on the government to make more efforts for the release of hostages. For more on this, joining us live from Herzliya is our correspondent Jody Cohen. Jody, thanks for joining us. What can you tell us about the latest on the Israel-Hamas medicines deal that has been negotiated by Qatar and France?
Hi, Priyanka. Yes, so Qatar has said that the medicines for the hostages have now entered Gaza. Now, this is day 104 since Hamas's 7th of October massacre, and this would be the first time that the hostages receive medications, but there's still no confirmation that the medicines have actually reached the hostages. And it's a particular concern for those who were injured on the 7th of October, some of whom lost limbs, and of course for the elderly. Meanwhile, we've got some updates on some of the hostages. Today, Kafir Bibas is turning 1. It's his first birthday. He's the youngest of all of those taken on the 7th of October. And he's now spent a quarter of his life in captivity. And I'm at a display in Herzliya where people can write messages to Kafir and to the hostages as well. Meanwhile, the IDF has said that a Hamas member arrested has led them to a fridge in Gaza where they found the head of 19-year-old Adir Tahar, who was beheaded on the 7th of October by Hamas. And Adir's father is now going to be holding a second funeral for his son. Meanwhile, Daniel Hagari, the IDF spokesperson, has said that they're working to gather more intelligence on the locations of the more than 130 hostages who are still being held captive in Gaza. He suggested that pressure on Hamas is most important, so there will be moves to return the hostages. Remember, Hamas is demanding a full ceasefire for the return of all the hostages. Israel has said it can't accept that now, as that would leave Hamas as a threat on its border.
Right, Jody, my second question, how long do you think this war will go on for, and do you think there is a risk of it expanding to Lebanon as well?
So Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that he expects this war to continue until 2025. Israel's Defense Minister Gallant has said that he believes that if Hamas is not totally dismantled, then Israelis simply won't be able to live in Israel. And that's because Hamas has promised to carry out further 7th of October massacres again and again. Now, there is concern that this war could also spread between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. We've seen rockets fired daily from Lebanon into Israel since the 8th of October, the day after Hamas's attack. We've also seen armed infiltration attempts, and Israel has evacuated its residents in northern Israel. There have been intense mediation efforts, but in the latest, Hezbollah has rejected US proposals to cool down the fighting. Now, Herzi Halevi, the IDF chief, says that he believes the likelihood of war with Lebanon has now increased. But US media reports are saying that Prime Minister Netanyahu has told US officials that Israel wouldn't launch a major attack on Lebanon. It's not expected that Hezbollah want a major war, but it remains to be seen what Hezbollah's next move will be.
Jody Cohen, thank you so much for all those updates, and thanks for joining us on WION at this hour. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.